Hey everyone, welcome back to another bonus video during the international break. I've had a couple people say that they're planning on using their shuffle this week now that transfer window is closed and that they're coming out of an international break where there's fixture swings and stuff like that. If you didn't see the video on players with teams with good fixtures coming out of the international break, you might want to check that out. I just released that one a couple days ago, but this one's going to be about people using their shuffle and maybe a draft team that people can look at or aim to pick some players around for that coming up. And so I just went to the transfer page. It just shows some transfers that I made from mine, but I'm not actually making those. It's just so I can kind of show what one might look like. And then feel free to comment below what other players that you think should be in there, what players shouldn't be in there. If you've actually used your shuffle, send along. I'll take a look and maybe do a ratings video or something like that, but feel free to let your voice be heard about it as well. But this is the one that I've come up with for now, and it starts with the keepers. I think Zoet will be a keeper for mine all season long as a cheap keeper that is starting, and I've switched out what used to be Cragno for me for Lesserini. I'm happy with just one starting keeper. I got kind of lucky that even though one got injured, I had a second starting keeper at the beginning of this season, but I'm just trying to put as little money as possible with a starting keeper. And Lesserini actually did start one game, I think, because the starter on Venezia is injured right now. So I might still have two starting keepers right now, but with these two, but I know I got at least one, which is good. Going to defense, I'd probably keep three that I already have. Mario Rui, the cheaper attacking wingback on Napoli, who has really good fixtures coming up. Mela, who been all over the attack for Atalanta so far. I think I would keep him. And Karsdorp, Roma doesn't really seem to have less than a 5 million starting defender, and I do want one. I guess this spot actually could be switched out for defender on like Milan or Inter. I'd say anyone else that's kind of in that price range. So if I go to clubs and click Inter, Roma, and Milan, and then defenders, and we can see if there's a better one in there. You're not really getting one cheaper than 5. Karsdorp has done really well so far. Calabria, I guess, has had some attacking returns, but you're gonna have to go more expensive than that. So maybe Calabria would be a good option there. But if you're maybe Darmian as well, actually, he's kind of attacking, but I don't think Darmian's any better than Karsdorp is, to be truly honest. So I'd probably stick right there. The two defenders that I would bring in is Molina and Cambiaso. Both of them seem to be playing more of a midfield role in their teams. Both of them are cheaper defenders. Cambiaso's as cheap as it gets at 4. Again, this is not a player that needs to start for you at the end of the day. You don't need to have 5 defenders start. In fact, normally you wouldn't want that. And Molina, same idea, and he has got some attacking returns as well. So just some options if they have a good fixture and to add more money into your attack. Then we're going to the midfield, where there are a decent number of switches here. You are generally going to want one cheaper midfielder, and I'm just going to keep the one that I have in there. It can be another cheap one that's been starting, but Bandinelli is a player that has played most of the game for each game for Empoli right now. They have decent fixtures coming up, and he's cheap. At the end of the day, he might not make the starting lineup, but he's going to allow more money to be added into the rest. Other players that I am looking to actually get for my team, Insigne is definitely one with the fixtures that Napoli has coming forward. Remember, this isn't necessarily a draft team for all season kind of thing. This is coming out of this window, trying to get points in the weeks coming out of here. And then obviously you can transfer players out as they become less useful or get injured. But Napoli is a team that has some really nice fixtures coming up. I would definitely want Insigne on my team. Dybala is one. Now I had Chiesa in here. Dybala has the top striking role, which is why I think he might be a little more valuable right now. But honestly, if you have Chiesa in there, I don't think you're going wrong at all. I have Chiesa in there right now, and I would not be making the switch just to go from Chiesa to Dybala. That's a very lateral switch, and I don't think that's making the most of a transfer. But if I'm shuffling and I have unlimited free transfers, I'd probably throw Dybala in there instead because he's playing that attacking role. This is maybe a more of a differential one that I thought I'd put in there. He is kind of expensive for a player playing on Cagliari, but it's a midfielder playing in that striking role as well. Scored 2 goals in week 1 to get his team tie against Spezia, João Pedro. And he normally, when goals are coming from Calgary, they're coming through him. So I think as a midfielder, that's almost another striker you have in your team. I don't think that would be a bad pick to go to. But as far as midfielders go, if you do want a cheaper one, obviously you could find them. Like if you wanted Dybala and Chiesa, you could actually have them in there. That would be okay. Any Juventus goal is probably going to come through one of them. You could slide Çalhanoğlu in there, who's had a great start to the season, or Milinkovic-Savic. But the reason I have João Pedro in there is his position on the field compared to his position in fantasy. If you can have a player that plays basically in that striker role as a midfielder, that's obviously ideal. But we know that Vertua's had a great start. You'd be saving 2.4 on him there. So there is reasons to not go for him, obviously. But I think that's a good differential pick. And he's proven to do well so far in these first 2 weeks. But there are other options. He is just going to be the one in mind. But again, that might be a good idea to go down to a Çalhanoğlu or a Vertu or something. And then you have money to bolster either bench positions or strikers. The next one I'm going to keep in Barella. I want another cheaper midfielder that is going to do well. I was seeing if I could bump up to Çalhanoğlu at one point, but I just didn't think it was worth it. I do think Barella still has even more to offer than he has. He's got an assist in both games, so he's getting the attacking returns. He's around the net. He has good distribution, and he's 6.5 million. So that's why I have him in still. Again, if you want to go for someone that's proven to get a little more points so far, you can go up to Zakanji. But I think being on that, I think he has a nailed-on position in an Inter squad that seems to be challenging for a title again this year already. So that's who I'd go with. Honestly, I don't really know who else I'd go with that fits in for my budget. Remember, my budget might not be the same as yours right now. I lost a couple million on Ronaldo already and stuff. So you might have more or less money to spend compared to me. And the strikers. I'm going to keep Giroud in there probably until Ibra comes back and see what happens there. He got 2 goals in the last game, highest striker on Milan, another threatening team as of right now. I think I keep him, especially at a $7.5 million price point. I think I'd bring in Tammy Abraham. He's really impressed to start. I didn't know if he was going to be an option for me if I knew that he was going to be starting on Roma before the season. He does seem to have a good nailed on position there, and he's around the net for almost every goal. I think that's a good point, and I'd be subbing him in for who I currently have would be Dzeko. Again, I don't think Dzeko is a bad option by any means on a strong Inter squad playing at the top. With Lautaro in there, I don't know how that striking formation is going to go there, if they're going to be sharing that role, if one's going to be higher, one's going to be lower. I think Dzeko is still a little higher up the last time, so that's good. But they do have another person now there to pass the ball to instead. So all the goals might not be coming through Dzeko. And as I saw last week after captaining Dzeko, I didn't get any attacking returns from him, which was a little frustrating. So I think I'd rather go for Tammy here. And you can see his price is going up and up and up. So if you do want to get on him, I'd get sooner rather than later. And the last striker that I have is Osimhen. And I know that he's suspended, I think, for one more game coming up, and I still might be getting him into my squad this upcoming week for Ronaldo, which if you've watched my other videos, you would have seen already. But I just think with the run of fixtures Napoli is about to go on, he'll miss the game against Juve, it looks like. But after that, it's smooth sailing as far as fixtures, and I think as long as he's playing that high striker role, most of the goals will be going through him and Insigne as well, which is why I want both of them on my team. Okay, so we can take a quick look at the other striking options there are before we sign off. I want to try to keep this video a little quicker today. If Leao was a midfielder, I definitely would have had him already. And the other option, if you can fit Immobile in your squad and keep it strong everywhere else, I'd say that's a great move. Because he's kind of going to be the new Ronaldo right now. I think he's gonna, once he saw both Lukaku and Ronaldo leave the league, I think his eyes lit up for the golden boot for the league, and I think he's taken it, and he got 3 goals in the last game, and I don't think he's going to score 3 goals every game, but I think he'll be on the score sheet more often than not, so I do think he's a really good option. Other than that, though, I don't think you could really argue, for instance, that Abraham or Giroud are really any worse than Dzeko, Muriel, Vlahovic, Belotti. Like, I think they're all have that similar role within their team where the goals are going to be going through them. And it's how you want to spend that money. If I want to be able to get higher priced midfielders and therefore I'm getting lower priced strikers rather than a 12.2, 9.6, 10 and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm also going to be playing the fixtures. So once fixture run ends for Osimhen, I don't necessarily think he's a better attacker than some of these names, but I think he has a better chance of scoring in some of the games coming up. So that's what I got. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to keep growing this following, and maybe we get some live streams done at some point and actually have a little bit of a chat. So that'd be good. Let me know what you did. Let me know what you agree or disagree with. And I hope you're enjoying the international break. Unfortunately, Italy tied 1-1 against Bulgaria yesterday, which was kind of disappointing, but that's all right. We're still in first in our group, and hopefully we will be getting some wins in the rest of the games to come. Okay, take care. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.